The sun hasn't even touched the marble peaks of Mount Pentelicus yet. But for you, the day is already several hours old. You feel the familiar ache in your lower back as you heave the last of the heavy ceramic amphorae onto your wooden cart. The air in the narrow, winding streets of Athens is still cool, smelling of damp earth, wood smoke, and the faint, salty tang of the Aegean Sea blowing in from the Piraeus. You wipe a bead of sweat from your forehead with the back of a calloused hand, your skin stained with the dark residue of the pressed olives you spent all yesterday preparing. You aren't a wealthy landowner or a celebrated philosopher. You are a merchant, a vendor of the street. And in the heart of the Golden Age, your survival depends entirely on the strength of your voice and the quality of your oil. You pull the strap of your rough linen chiton tight, feeling the coarse fabric rub against your shoulder. Your sandals, worn thin by miles of pacing the limestone pavement, slap rhythmically against the dirt as you begin the journey toward the Agora. This is the heartbeat of the world. As you navigate the shadows of the sleeping houses, you hear the city beginning to stir. A rooster crows in a distant courtyard. Somewhere behind a mud brick wall, a slave is grinding grain, the rhythmic thud, thud of the pestle acting as a metronome for the waking city. You pass a small shrine to Hermes, the god of merchants and thieves, and you pause for a second. You don't have much to spare, but you reach into your pouch and pull out a single dried fig, placing it on the stone altar. You whisper a quick prayer for a day of honest profit and few pickpockets. In this city, you need the gods on your side just as much as you need a sharp wit. As you approach the edge of the Agora, the scale of the city begins to reveal itself. The massive columns of the Parthenon, still gleaming white and vibrant with fresh paint, tower over you from the heights of the Acropolis. It's a constant reminder of the power of the gods and the ambition of men like Pericles. But you don't have time to gape at architecture. You have a prime spot to claim. If you're late, the fishmongers will crowd you out, and the smell of old mackerel will ruin the delicate aroma of your honey-infused oils. You push your cart faster, the wooden wheels groaning under the weight of the jars. The market is a chaotic symphony. Even at this early hour, the space is filling with people from every corner of the known world. You see Scythian archers in their pointed caps acting as a city watch, their eyes scanning the crowd. You see Egyptian traders with linen so fine it looks like water, and bearded Persians whispering over crates of spices that cost more than your house. You find your usual spot, a small patch of ground near the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch. You begin to unload. First, the heavy jars of olive oil, the liquid gold of Attica. Then, the smaller lekythoi, the elegant flasks used by athletes and wealthy women. Finally, you arrange your specialty, jars of wild thyme honey from the slopes of Mount Hymettus, so thick and sweet it makes your teeth ache just looking at it. The sun finally breaks over the horizon, and suddenly the Agora is flooded with light. The white marble of the surrounding temples becomes blinding, and the heat begins to rise. This is when the real work starts. You take a deep breath, puffing out your chest, and let out your first cry of the day. Your voice needs to be melodic but commanding. You aren't just selling a product. You're selling a necessity, a luxury, and a piece of the earth itself. You shout about the clarity of your oil, how it burns without smoke in the finest lamps, how it makes the skin of a wrestler shine like a bronze statue. A group of young men, likely students from the Lyceum, saunter past. They are draped in expensive himatians, their hair perfectly curled, smelling of expensive perfumes. They look at your stall with a mix of curiosity and disdain. One of them stops, picking up a small flask. He turns it over in his hands, checking for cracks. You don't Russian. You know the dance. You tell him that oil came from the oldest grove in Marathon, pressed by hand under a full moon. It's a lie, mostly. But in the Agora, storytelling is half the price. He tosses you a silver obol, the coin ringing against the wood of your cart. You catch it midair, feeling the cold metal against your palm. It's the first sale of the day. The tension in your shoulders eases just a fraction. By mid-morning, the Agora is a sea of humanity. The noise is deafening. To your left, a butcher is hacking at a carcass of goat, the rhythmic thud of his cleaver punctuating the air. To your right, a weaver is arguing with a housewife over the price of a purple-dyed cloak. The smells are overwhelming. A heady mix of roasting meat, pungent garlic, expensive incense, and the unwashed bodies of thousands of people packed into the square. You feel the dust of the market coating your throat, making it scratchy. You take a quick sip of watered-down wine from your goatskin flask, the tart liquid cutting through the grime. You have to be careful now. This is the hour of the agoranomoi, the market police. You see them moving through the aisles, their eyes sharp, checking weights and measures. If your jars are even a fraction under the promised volume, they'll fine you more than you'll make in a week. Or worse, they'll have you whipped in front of your peers. You watch as they stop at a grain merchant's stall 3 rows down. There's a heated argument, a scale is overturned, and the merchant is led away in disgrace. You check your own weights again, your heart fluttering. Everything is in order. You are an honest man, but in Athens, honesty is a fragile thing. A shadow falls across your stall. You look up, expecting another student, but instead you see a man who looks like he stepped out of a dream or a nightmare. He's older, with a messy gray beard and a cloak that has seen better decades. His eyes are piercing, uncomfortably bright. It's Socrates. You've seen him before, usually surrounded by a crowd of annoyed citizens. He doesn't look at your oil, he looks at you. He asks you, with a deceptive simplicity, what makes a merchant good? Is it the profit he makes, or the service he provides to the city? You try to give a clever answer, something about providing the light for the city's lamps, but he traps you in a web of questions until your head spins. For 5 minutes, you aren't a vendor. You're a philosopher's punching bag. When he finally moves on, leaving you confused and slightly insulted, you realize a small crowd is gathered to watch the exchange. You use the opportunity. If the wisest man in Athens stopped at your stall, surely your oil is worth a look. You sell 3 jars in 10 minutes. The midday heat becomes a physical weight. The air stands still, shimmering over the hot stones. Most of the wealthy citizens retreat to the shade of the stoas or their private courtyards for a siesta, but you can't afford to leave. You squat in the small patch of shade cast by your cart's awning, peeling a hard-boiled egg and eating a handful of salty olives. This is the quietest the Agora gets. You watch a stray dog sniff at a discarded fish head. You look up at the Acropolis, where the sun reflects off the bronze spear of the Athena Promachos statue. It's so large you can see the glint from miles away at sea. You wonder what it's like up there, in the cool marble halls, away from the flies and the smell of goat dung. As the sun begins its slow descent, the second rush begins. This is when the slaves are sent out to gather supplies for the evening meals. They are tougher negotiators than their masters. They know exactly what a drachma is worth. You find yourself haggling with an elderly woman who has been buying oil from you for years. She complains about the price. She complains about the quality. She complains about the government. You listen patiently, nodding, because she always buys in bulk. You give her a small discount, a friendship price, and she leaves satisfied. Her jars balance perfectly on her head. Suddenly, there's a commotion near the center of the square. A herald has appeared, blowing a trumpet to announce a meeting of the ecclesia, the assembly. Thousands of men begin to stream toward the Pnyx hill nearby. You watch them go, the shoemakers, the potters, the aristocrats, all equal in their right to vote. You feel a pang of something you can't quite name. You are a metic, a resident alien. You pay your taxes, you live in the city, but you have no vote. You are part of Athens, but Athens does not belong to you. You turn back to your jars, the wood feeling rougher under your hands. Your vote is cast in copper and silver in the daily struggle to stay fed. The light turns golden, then a deep, bruised purple. The shadows of the columns stretch long across the Agora, reaching out like fingers. One by one, the other vendors begin to pack up. The butcher covers his remaining meat with damp cloths. The weaver folds her linens. You count your remaining stock. It's been a good day. Most of the amphorae are empty, and your coin pouch feels heavy against your hip. You begin the process of reloading the cart, your muscles screaming in protest. The adrenaline of the day is fading, replaced by a bone-deep exhaustion. As you push your cart back through the darkening streets, the city feels different. The frantic energy of the morning has been replaced by a quiet intimacy. You see families gathered around small lamps, lamps fueled by oil like yours. You hear the sound of a lyre drifting from an upstairs window, a sweet, melancholic tune that follows you for a block. The smell of roasting lamb wafts from the houses of the rich, making your stomach growl. You think about the dinner waiting for you, a simple meal of bread, cheese, and maybe a bit of salted fish if you stop at the corner shop. You reach your small home, a modest structure of sun-dried brick. You push the cart into the tiny courtyard and lock the heavy wooden door. The silence is a relief. You sit on a low stool, pulling off your sandals and rubbing your swollen feet. You reach into your pouch and pour the coins out onto a small table. You sort them by size and metal, the tiny silver obols, the larger drachmae with the owl of Athena stamped on the back. You count them twice, the clinking of the metal the only sound in the room. It's enough. Enough for the rent, enough for the grain tax, and enough to buy a new tunic for your daughter. You lean back against the cool wall, closing your eyes. Tomorrow, you will wake up before the sun. You will load the cart. You will pray to Hermes, and you will fight for your place in the dirt and the glory of the Agora. You are a small cog in the massive machine of the greatest city on earth. You are the one who keeps the lamps burning and the athletes shining. You are a street vendor of Athens, and as you drift off to sleep, the taste of dust and honey still on your lips, you wouldn't be anywhere else. The city is loud, it is hot, and it is unforgiving, but it is alive. And as long as the sun rises over the Parthenon, you will be there to meet it.
If you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe button for more.